On August 5, 1945, as an Army Air Forces pilot and his crew loaded a nuclear weapon called Little Boy into a B-29, a young British woman named Mary Booneman, 9 months pregnant and living in Berkeley, California, felt the first unmistakable pains of labor. Across the Pacific on Tinian Island, where the loading operation was underway, a softball game also was in progress. The pilot, Lieutenant Colonel Paul W. Tibbets, asked a sign painter to leave the field so he could apply his mother's name beneath the cockpit window. "Nice and big," Tibbets had said. That day, and whenever he got anxious, Tibbets remembered how his mother had assured him he would not lose his life as punishment for arguing fiercely with his father about becoming a pilot. Her name was Enola Gay. Sleep was impossible for some of the Enola Gay crewmen that night, just as it was for Mary Booneman at the Berkeley General Hospital. Tibbets and his crew began the 1,500-mile journey to Japan at 2:45 the following morning, while the Enola Gay, with Little Boy on board, flew through the darkness on a mission that would immediately end some 70,000 lives. Mary gave birth to her second son. It was still Sunday in Berkeley in the late afternoon. "Nothing was further from my thoughts than the time and the date in Japan," Mary later recorded in her diary. Not yet 25, Mary Booneman had lived with the secret of the bomb project since 1943, when her husband Oscar told her about it in hushed tones of deathly secrecy. The couple, still in England then, was about to move to the United States with their first son. At Berkeley, Oscar Booneman's expertise in mathematics and physics was applied to work on uranium enrichment, the process used to make the fissile material inside the core of Little Boy. The bomb was dropped from an altitude of about 9,600 meters and exploded 580 meters above Hiroshima, a little to the northwest of the city's center. Later, a 19-year-old woman who survived reported a remarkable sight near a public garden. Amid the bodily remains, burned black and immobilized at the moment of impact, there was, she said, a charred body of a woman standing frozen in a running posture with one leg lifted and her baby tightly clutched in her arms. On August 9th, a second nuclear weapon, called Fat Man, was dropped on Nagasaki, immediately claiming another estimated 40,000 lives. The total death toll from both bombs would climb over the next 5 years to more than 250,000. At the hospital in Berkeley, flowers and gifts arrived, along with the grim headlines from Japan. Mary shared a room with a Venezuelan lady named Mercedes, who had given birth to a girl a few hours after Mary's son was born. Mercedes was married to an American sailor stationed on a ship somewhere near Japan. The decision to drop the bombs was made in part to prevent soldiers and sailors like him from risking their lives by invading Japan to force surrender. But Mary's roommate was crying. "Why did they have to go and drop another?" she protested through her sobs. "The first one would have finished the war off." Why indeed? Physicists had known the answer, or so they thought, as far back as the early 1900s. The first nation to detonate a weapon based on the energy inside an atom would control the world. Everything changed in the vortex of life and death events that surrounded August 6, 1945. The newborns would never know life without nuclear weapons. A mother and child were already among its victims, and a pilot, comforted by the memory of his mother's words, thought that all he was doing was bringing an end to war. The United States had emerged as the leader of the non-communist world.